makes you feel strong. If you define a strength as an activity that you're good at, then the person least qualified to identify him is you. So from a very early age, you were taught not to trust your own instincts about your strengths, weren't you? You were taught to look to your teachers to confirm whether you had a strength or not, or your parents, or your manager at work. Yes, you have a strength. No, you don't. You weren't to be trusted. You would either be too hard on yourself or too generous, depending on how fragile your ego was. But if a strength is an activity that makes you feel strong, then no one knows them better than you do. When I get done at the end of the week, let's put that back up, and I go, I feel strong when I interview someone who excels at their job and explore why they excel. No one can come to me and go, no, you don't. They can say to me, there's a better way to do that, Marcus. Here are better questions to ask. Here's a better way to write up what you found. Here's a better way to incorporate that into a book or they can say all that. That is great performance feedback, and I should be open to it. But what no one knows better than me is which activities I'm drawn to and which ones repel me, which intrigue me and which bore me, which I love and which I loathe. No one knows them better than me. And I knew them at 6, and so do you. So take a week and do this. And the power of yours, when you do them, when you have 3, the power of yours will be in their specificity. This doesn't say, I like interviewing people. You know why it doesn't say that? You know why it doesn't say, I feel strong when I interview people? You know why? Because I don't. I had a job when I worked for Gallup, which was all about interviewing people who were struggling leaders to try and help them be better leaders. Today we would call that an executive coach role. I should have liked it. I was really good at it. And it bored me to tears. I wish it didn't. For no good reason that I can think of, I am not invigorated at all about interviewing people who are struggling to find out why they're struggling. I'm only intrigued by Rosa, and I'm just being fully candid about this. I'm only intrigued by Rosa because she's really good. But I would much more be excited about the idea of interviewing a fabulous executive housekeeper than a bad leader. For whatever reason, I'm intrigued by excellence. And I also don't want to interview Rosa about her political beliefs. I don't want to interview Rosa about her relationships. Let's put that back up one more time. I want to interview someone who's good to explore why they're good. When you get done with this in your regular week of life, you should have 3 strength statements that are powerful, drawn from your own experience, and specific. And then the challenge for your life will be, as is the challenge for my life, how do I take that insight and make sure that every week I'm figuring out 2 ways to play to that strength a wee bit more this week than I did last week? Any week, guys, any week where I play to any aspect of that. It could be the setting up the right interview aspect. It could be preparing the questions aspect. It could be the actually doing the interview aspect. It could be the writing up my discoveries aspect. It could be the sharing of the discoveries aspect. But any week where I deliberately play to some aspect of that strength will be a powerful and productive week for me. And the same will apply to you. But the reason it's so important for you to own this is that no one knows this about me. When you write your 3 strength statements, no one will know that better than you. Your challenge will be to look at those 3 strength statements in the face and figure out how each week you can deliberately play to some aspect of those activities that strengthen you. If you can learn how to do that, when faced with a world, frankly, guys, that is ambivalent about you and your strengths. The world quite likes your strengths if it helps you get something done, but is kind of annoyed with your strengths if it leads you off in a different direction. The world is blind, really, to you and your strengths. In which case, the only person who can take responsibility for putting your strengths to work is you. And it starts with you having some kind of strength statement that is powerful, vivid, true, and drawn from your own experience. If you can do that, then you can start gradually becoming one of the 12%. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. There'll be times when you'll go back, you'll use your strengths, and then because you're using your strengths, you'll be successful, and somebody will give you another opportunity. Door after door will open for you, some of which will allow you to play to your strengths. Many won't. And you'll have to stay clear-headed enough to figure out which doors to march through and which doors to slam shut. So it won't always be easy, and it won't be without risk. There'll be risks on this strengths journey of yours. Risk that one day you'll go back, you'll use all your strengths, and you won't be successful. Like Jack, my son, will take all of his competitiveness, go all out, and not win. That's hard, isn't it? Because you've got no excuse. You went for it, you still didn't get it done. That's a bitter pill to swallow. Or there's the risk that you'll go back with your team and share your strengths, and they won't get what you're talking about. They'll think you're trying to brag that you're good at this job, or you're trying to hand all the rotten jobs off to somebody else. The new guy, here, take this. There's risk, but there's a lovely line on risk from Anais Nin, and I thought I would end with it. She wrote this. She said, "And the day came when the risk it took to remain tight in the bud became greater than the risk it took to blossom. And the day came when the risk it took to remain all tight in the bud became greater than the risk it took to blossom." Well, today should be that day for you. Because yes, there are risks to blossoming. There are risks to betting your service, your contribution, your significance on your strengths. But I would argue that for you, from this day forward, the risks of not doing so are far greater. Because here's what I believe. I believe that everybody in this room, everyone watching, has strengths. No one is strengthless. You aren't. Those girls at Parnell, no one is strengthless. Everyone has some activities that make them feel strong. Second, I believe that no one's got quite the same configuration of strengths and weaknesses as you do. The least interesting thing about me is that I'm a 41-year-old man from England. All the really interesting uniquenesses of me lie beneath the surface of my race or my sex or my age or my nationality. All the really intriguing uniquenesses lie beneath the surface. And I believe the same is true of you. Third, I believe that you'll make your greatest contribution in life to those you're seeking to serve and those you're seeking to lead when you, by yourself, figure out how to contribute your strengths most of the time. And last, I believe that everyone will win when you do. You'll win. Your team will win, your family will win, your community will win, your church will win, your company will win, the country will win. Everyone will win when you take that responsibility. That's what I believe. But it doesn't matter what I believe. You've just seen the data. It clearly doesn't matter what I believe. In the end, it matters only what you believe. Now, I don't know what you thought you were going to get out of this last time that we've got this afternoon. I don't know what your expectations were. But I would leave you with this. Let tomorrow be a different day than it was today. Let tomorrow be a slightly stronger day than it was today. By which I simply mean, let tomorrow begin with you looking in the mirror and saying to yourself, what are my strengths and how can I volunteer them today? And then let every day thereafter start the same way, because then and only then will we get to see the best of you. Then and only then will you really be able to lead from here. Thanks for inviting me.